This video is sponsored by Sterling Insurance.
Hey guys, welcome back to Van Conversion 101, the video series where we show you how to convert a van from start to finish.
This is part 2 of the video where we are showing you how we did our roof deck and also our tilting solar array.
So just a little recap, this is what we're trying to achieve and we have already done kind of all of the prep work for that. Yep. So if you want to see that video, then check it out over here. Yeah, so that goes through things like picking out the deck boards, staining the deck boards, getting solar panels, putting the solar panels together.
Sorting out all of like your cable entries so that they're coming through the roof at the right points and they're all watertight. In this video, we are going to be finishing off this whole area. So we're going to be putting the deck boards on, we're going to be putting the solar panels on, and we're going to be assembling our tilting mechanism. And hopefully it's all going to work quite smoothly. As
always, we are also doing this van conversion over on TikTok and Instagram. So if you prefer short form video, or if you just want to have a couple more updates on the van build, then definitely go check those out.
As always, these are the tools and materials that were used at this stage in the build.
Okay, great. We're in the workshop. We've got the solar panels up on the roof, which took quite a lot of effort because they're now bolted together. So we had to get both of the solar panels up, which was quite heavy. I'm very ill as well. But work does not stop. So I'm still, 2 days when you weren't here, so it stopped. Because I've been really ill. I was going to explain what we're doing now.
Okay, hello everyone. So in our last video, when I was here yesterday, day before, I got the hinges on the bottom of the panel and just did a couple of like sanity tests to make sure that it felt okay when it was tilted up and it wasn't too flimsy and anything like that. And I think we're fairly confident with it. So now I have to work out where to put these actuators that I bought. So I'll just talk you briefly through the process that we went through in selecting these. Initially, it was between either using gas struts and you'd have to come up on the roof and start lifting the panel yourself, or the fancy option, which I always kind of liked the idea of, which was using actuators. And these are going to be wired into the van, and I've got a couple of control switches, which I'll show you later, so you can basically lift the panels up or down from inside the van. In terms of calculating which of these we needed, there were a couple of things which make it more difficult. So you can't really see from here, but underneath the roof deck, you've obviously got roof bars at certain intervals. So however this actuator was going to work, it has to fit between 2 roof bars basically. So that was one constraint. The other thing to consider is when you are using an actuator to start moving a hinge, you need it to have an initial angle. You can't start it flat. So basically we needed to make sure that the depth between the panels and the bottom of the roof was enough that you could sit the actuator kind of like that, and then if it's, you know, by the time it starts moving, you get it lifting up. And there's, you know, a hinge at the top and the bottom. I've not gone too detailed into, you know, the mathematics behind it, but I did use a linear actuator calculator. They have these for various companies that sell linear actuators. So what you can do is adjust, you know, the height of your lid, so you can make it bigger or smaller. You can adjust the box height, which is essentially the distance between the lid and the bottom where you're going to mount the actuator. So for most cases, you'd be using this in like a lift up outdoor box or something like that. In our case, it's a little bit different, but I mean, the principle's still the same. So I've put our box height as about 6 inches. Which is the distance between the top of the roof deck and this channel at the side of the van. The lid weight in this case is about 60 pounds, 25 kilograms. And then what you can do is adjust the angle that you want the lid to get to, and you can also adjust the mounting position. So the further up the panels you put the mounting position, the less forceful the actuators need to be. But also they need to be longer, so that wouldn't work quite as well for us because we only have this small depth to work with. So I have worked it out quite roughly that we can get the panels to about a 65 or 70 degree angle. We can mount the actuator about 26 inches from the hinge, which is about here, just before the midway part. And the bottom of the actuator needs to be mounted less than 5 inches from the bottom, so correct on all fronts basically. This is going to be a 12-inch or 300mm actuator, and it needs to be able to carry at least 146 pounds according to this calculator. So we've got two actuators, one either side. They both carry about 220 pounds. And they are the correct length. So when the panels are down and the actuator is retracted, it'll look kind of like that. And then as it starts to lift up and you have the actuator extending, it will end up being something like that. And you can see how that will support the panels from the hinge here at that's about a 60-degree angle, 65, something like that, which is enough for us to sit underneath the panels and enjoy the roof deck.
Okay, so it is Saturday. I am back at the workshop. Will is actually not here because he's on holiday. I know, how rude. But my job for the day is to do a top coat on all of these deck boards. So we went in first with the actual stain, and I'll show you the top coat in a minute. But I'm basically going to take all of these outside so that I can do that. So the top coat that we're using is this Fortress Trade Yacht Varnish. I mean, I'm pretty sure that this is just the one that they had in B&Q. You could probably get any sort of yacht varnish. The reason that we're using this is because it is super tough and durable, protects against rain combined with wind really well. So yeah, that's why we're using this. Also, guys, it was really embarrassing. I couldn't actually open the door to workshop today because usually when we come, Will opens it, or someone else is already here. And yeah, I had to get someone from the workshop to talk me through it because it was I was just too weak and I hadn't done it before. So yeah, embarrassing. Also, I'm still kind of ill, and I've been ill for the past week, which is super frustrating. I have finished the first coat of the top coat. So I've done one side of all the boards. It took me a really long time. I feel like it took me an hour at least. And I'm just gonna have some lunch and then do the other side. And then I think I'm just gonna pack everything up and head home for the day because I'll just be waiting for Will to come back after that to kind of put those boards up on the roof and sort out our solar array and everything like that. Just to say that it is absolutely boiling at the moment as well, and I am wearing long black trousers and I keep feeling like I'm about to pass out because it's so hot, and also I'm a bit ill. And I know what Will's gonna say. He's gonna be like, oh my god, Mary, you're so dramatic. And maybe he's right. It's about 3:30 and I've just finished staining or putting a top coat on, and then moving everything from outside back into the paint room to dry. I am done for the day, which I'm so happy about. But yeah, these need a day to dry, I think. And then I don't know if we'll do a second coat, but yeah, selfishly, I don't want to do one.
Now, it might not seem like there's been a lot of a gap to you, because I think the last time we did a video on this particular topic, we were back in England and we were talking about, putting up the roof deck and getting the actuators right and things like that. Time has passed, basically. We're now in the south of France, which you may have seen in some of our other videos. We're visiting Mira's parents, which is really, really lovely because they've got this nice big driveway where we can do some of the van work. But we have taken a bit of a break from this particular project, and we've been doing some other things like putting the insulation in. As you can see behind me, there's also a new floor in the van, which we got some help from my brother with last week. But also we've just been having a little bit of a break, so there's not been a whole lot going on for basically the past month. But yeah, we're gonna try and get some more of this roof deck done now. So we basically came down to the south of France and took all of this stuff with us that we thought we were gonna get done. We took all of the flooring, all the insulation, the solar panels, the roof decking boards, all of our tools and things. So we had an absolutely packed van. And as always happens, we've ended up doing probably less than half of what we expected to do. So we're kind of scrambling in the last 3 days that we're here to get some more meaningful stuff done, trying to get the roof deck boards on today, basically so that we can go through customs and they won't say, what's all this commercial stuff that you're using? So you will probably have seen in a different video, I think it'll come beforehand, although I have no idea what the order is going to be. We've got our new floor down, which is nice. That process all went quite smoothly. I think Mira's going to be putting in some of the fleece insulation. We've already got this Dodo Mat thermo liner up on a lot of the panels. So yeah, the insulation process is coming along quite nicely as well, and then we'll be onto the electrics. But today, I'm focusing on this. One of the other reasons why we haven't really done much on the roof deck up to this point is because there are quite a lot of things to think about and you need to get it done in the right order. So for example, we've got the roof deck boards which need screwing down, but then we've also got the solar panels to go on top, and you have to screw the hinges into the deck boards. Then you also need to run the solar panel cables hopefully underneath the deck boards, and cables for the extra things that I mentioned, like the electromagnets, they're going to go under the deck boards as well. I was kind of wondering whether I should do all of that wiring first and then screw the deck boards in, but that's quite difficult in itself. So really, I was just kind of like paralyzed and doing nothing with it. So I'm going to get the deck boards screwed in a few places at least, so that they're nice and secure. If I do then need to take up any individual deck boards to cable clip some, cables to the underside, I can do that separately. Like, I'm kind of just wanting to get done with some of it and make some progress. I'm going to get the deck boards up on the roof. We've got some of these normal self-tapping screws, got these from B&Q, stainless steel, so hopefully they won't rust. And the idea being, as they're self-tapping ones, you can go straight through the wood. Obviously I'll pilot hole that first, and then straight into the steel roof rack bars as well. Deck boards are up on the roof. We just filmed a nice little like a stop motion video of us getting them up here, which is pretty cool. So that's going to be up on our TikTok and Instagram. So definitely go check those out if you haven't already. So yeah, now I'm just going to screw them in. I've already tested this out on one row of boards here. So this is the space here where the actuator is going to go for the solar panel, which I'll show you a little bit later on. But for now, yeah, we're just doing the screwing. So we've got these, again, the same thing. It's stainless steel self-tapping screws. These are 38mm in length, which means they'll go through the 24mm boards and nicely into the roof bars without going all the way through. I'm drilling pilot holes with this. This is a 2.5mm drill bit. I'm going a little bit thicker than you normally would for a screw of this size, just because we're going into the metal, and I also don't want any of the wood to split. Countersinking and then driving them in. I have just been a little bit cautious with the first load, so I've been driving them almost all the way in and just hand screwing them down, which has worked quite well. Lots and lots to do. I think I've worked out we're doing about 114 screws in total.
Just wanted to take a minute to thank our sponsors for the Van Conversion 101 series, Sterling Insurance.
It can be really hard to find insurance for a van conversion, especially when you're doing all of the work yourself and if it's something that's a little bit bespoke and custom. But thankfully, Sterling will offer comprehensive cover for a range of weird and wonderful van conversions. So whatever your project looks like, I'm sure they've got a policy for you.
We also had a really tough time finding insurance when we were doing our first van conversion because we were both ages 25 and under.
And we also wanted to spend extended periods traveling around Europe, which is not that easy at the moment.
But Sterling's customer service team made the whole process so simple, and the insurance that we got in the end covered everything.
Even if you are living in your van permanently and you don't have a fixed address, that's not a problem with Sterling Insurance. As long as you have somewhere to send your mail, you can get a policy with them. Your policy can include personal possessions cover for up to £2,000 and can also include optional extras like breakdown cover and protection for things like your camping gear.
Thanks to Sterling, we've been able to build some incredible vans and travel to some amazing places, all while feeling safe and looked after. So if you're doing a van conversion or are heading off on an adventure, then check out Sterling Insurance. There's a link in the description down below. We have our solar panel behind us, and it has all of the little hinges and the actuators attached to it now. I played no part in this. Like, absolutely nothing.
I think she's distancing herself so that when it fails, she can claim no responsibility.
No, I actually think it's very cool, but I've been doing the installation inside the van while Will's been doing this, which is arguably the more technical, better job.
Wait, which one? Yours or mine?
No, yours, obviously. So yeah, he is going to explain his creations.
Yeah,
so be nice.
Yeah, please be nice.
Be nice.
I think it'll make more sense when we get it up there, which we're going to do in a second. So the roof deck is like screwed down and looking really nice. What I did mention before is that we might have to unscrew it in a couple of places to run cables underneath the deck boards. So we'll do that a little bit later on. The important part is we've like spaced it all properly and the screws are now in the right place. So if we do need to unscrew them, they'll just go straight back in where they're supposed to be. But we're going to try and get the solar panels up there today. What I've done on the solar panel front, you'll have seen already, we bolted them together and I've put the hinges on the top edge and also just tested the hinges to make sure that when these are all screwed in, the panel can lift up and down and it's not too flimsy. Next up was putting the hinges on. So we worked out the angles that they need to go in order to go between the first two roof rack bars, and the point at which it contacts is about halfway up the panel. So I've just screwed the top actuator bracket into the solar panel here. It's a bit of a bodge job, so I obviously couldn't screw through the front of the panel because you'd destroy the panel. So what I've done is just sat the bracket inside the aluminium corner that goes all the way around the solar panel, and then what I've done is bolted those brackets to the side of the solar panel rather than obviously bolting to the top. Now, if you were not bodging this, what I would have done is just sat the brackets on the underside of the solar panel frame, and then you can screw them in normally, and that would be a little bit more secure as well. The only reason we haven't done that is because we've got such like a small window to make this work that I needed to sit the brackets about 2 or 3 centimeters higher in order for that initial angle to be okay. But anyway, the brackets are on securely. I've put some rubber on the underside so that it won't, the metal of the bracket won't contact the underside of the panel and risk of damaging it. So we're going to go screw the other side of the actuator brackets onto the roof, screw the solar panel hinges in, and then I can deal with the wiring and hopefully test it later today.
I've just eaten my own sandwich and then also Will's sandwich.
But it's all right because I brought a cup of soup.
That's how nice he is. He gave me his sandwich, even though he does all the work and I do nothing. I thought I'd take some time to... I haven't read any interesting facts recently. The other day we watched Louis Theroux's America's Most Dangerous Town. Something like that.
He was in?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And that was really interesting, so I'd recommend that. You're Dead to Me has some new podcasts. They're pretty good. Nobody threw up on the floor yesterday.
It's not really a fun fact, but...
Actually, it wasn't fun at all.
It wasn't. Newcastle have finally signed a striker, so that opens up a move.
No one wants to hear about that.
Every second. That's huge for me.
I'm up on the roof, on our roof deck, which, by the way, is now finished, which is amazing. And we've lost our tripod, so if it's looking a bit shaky, that will be why. But we have managed to get our solar panel up here, and Will is just making sure... What are you doing?
This is basically the problem that we've been facing. Yeah, you do the hand movements and I'll explain it. So the actuator needs to be at an initial angle so that when it starts to extend, it actually pushes the panel up rather than just kind of pushing it across. So that is an acceptable angle, but the problem is it's right on top of this bar here. Ooh, there it is. And right underneath this bar, there. So the angle is very tight to make it work and also allow it to go all the way up, so it needs to end up being pretty much vertical. But we did the calculations, and I'm pretty sure it works. So now we're going to just work out where this bracket needs to go, screw that through the roof, and then we can get these hinges screwed in as well, and hopefully we can give it a test.
Yeah, to all those people who think I don't do anything. Could be now.
She just broke a drill bit.
We're testing if the actuators are in the right place. So we've screwed down the solar panel brackets on this side. And then we're going to pull it up as if the actuator was doing it to see if it hits the bars at the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do.
I think this is, in a good position here, but this obviously isn't screwed down at all. So if Mira pulls it up and it's okay and this part isn't hitting this bar, then we'll be okay. And we can screw this in, get the wiring done, give it a test.
We had a little bit of a kerfuffle and it didn't fit the original way that we wanted it to fit. So we've now removed one more of the bars. We decided that actually it was fine to remove it anyway. It wasn't being a support for anything really. So we took that off and now we've repositioned the solar panel. So now the actuator actually fits in the section it's supposed to fit, especially when it lifts up. And now we are screwing the brackets for the actuator that go into the van. And yeah, that's what we're doing now. I've spent the first part of the day trying to get some TikToks edited with little success because of internet issues and just stuff like that. But we do TikTok as well. So if you want to go check that out, then there'll be a link somewhere on the screen with all the details. So yeah, do that. And then some of the other things that I've been doing today, I have taken off all of the clips for this big fat wire that runs along the van. If you have a Mercedes Sprinter, you won't have this problem. We didn't have any of this stuff in our Sprinter, and actually it made it a lot easier because now we have to find a way to hide all this stuff behind the walls of the interior walls, which is fine. It's just more of a hassle. If you have a van without it, that's great. But yeah, these had big black clips on them, which I have taken off. And then also we had some interior lights that were on these beams up here, which I've also taken off now. But today is a very exciting day because we are going to test our solar panel actuators, which Will has been working extremely hard on. So yeah, we're a bit nervous, but also just super excited too.
Okay, so we're about to test the actuators. So basically, we've got an actuator on either side of the panel, and they're at an angle. When they extend, the panel's on hinges, and hopefully it's going to tilt upwards. And this is a little momentary double pole, double throw switch. So it's got 6 pins on the back. And please excuse the wiring. This is very temporary, and I will be doing it properly. So don't judge me electrically on that. It's going to be fine. The way this works is you've got a positive and negative coming directly from the battery, and I've got a fuse on there just temporarily. The cables are then crossed over opposite pins, so you've got 1 going to 6 and 2 going to 5. So basically what that means is when you switch it up, it's going to go in one direction. When you put the switch down, it's going to go in the opposite direction. The other connections you can see, so obviously there's a positive and negative for both actuators coming off of the top. And these ones here are going back to the battery, so that's the power supply. So yeah, at the moment it's in the off position. Gonna hopefully be able to switch it up. Actuators will extend, panel will hopefully tilt, and then down to bring it back down. It should look like this. I mean, obviously I've not put in any of the electrics on this, but that's how we want it to look.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling really nervous, mostly because if this doesn't work, I don't know why. So we're gonna have to figure out.
To a video of us in 10 seconds when it does.
I will. I might cry. Ready?
Yeah. Oh my god! Crazy.
Come on.
That was pretty good, actually.
That was pretty good.
How do you feel?
I'm so happy that it worked. I feel so relieved. And it worked really well too. Oh, God. I was stressing. I was
really
pooping my pants.
But it works.
It works.
This is what it looks like from the roof. So obviously it's now up. And we have all of our deck space back as well, which is kind of what we wanted for 2, obviously, other than just making sure that we get the most amount of sun on our solar panel. But yeah, exciting. So with it now working and tested, I've just disconnected the switch and left the panel up for a bit
And I'm going to run the cables for the actuators just underneath these boards so that are a little bit neater. So I've just got some plastic cable clips here, and I'm just screwing this to the underside of this board. Obviously we're going to make sure that it goes underneath these bars as well. And then our cable entry for this, I'll just show you this now as well. We've got one of these, which is a scan strut multi-cable entry. So it's got this gland in the middle, which you can drill several holes through. I think it's up to 4. So that's why I've also got this like dual core cable. So I can just put this through and it will only be a single hole through the cable entry. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do now, just neaten up the cables. We're going to do the same things for the solar cables a little bit later, and the cable entry gland for that one is on the other side. In that first test, you might have noticed that because this is like 2 panels bolted together, there was a decent amount of flex at this central part. Because it's only supported by the actuators at either side of the panel, this was kind of sagging under the weight. So I'm just going to try and reinforce that slightly. I've made a little bracket. This is just a 2.5mm steel angle, which I've drilled some holes in all the way up. So I'm going to bolt this to the top edge of this panel. I've got some little M4 countersunk bolts, which I'm just going to put through, and so they will sit in these little countersunk holes. And I've also spray painted it all black, just to kind of make it look a bit nicer. All right, it is actually the next day now, which is why I've changed my shirt. I think actually you will probably see me change shirts 10 or 20 times in this video, because this has just taken like a month when we've been doing other things and both been working or whatever. But anyway, I've got the panels up again, and as you can hopefully see, the little bracket that I've put on is actually doing a really nice job of stopping any sagging at the middle of the panel. So it looks a lot straighter all the way across now. And yeah, it sits up quite nicely. So this is what the deck space is going to look like. So you can see there's a good amount of space here when the panels are up, where we're going to be able to relax, have a nice picnic or whatever. First job for today is that we've got the cables which need to be connected up. The 2 panels are going to be wired together in series, which basically means we're going positive of one panel, or it's that one actually, positive of one panel to the negative of the other, and then we're going to connect the positive and negative for the whole array into the solar charge controller, which is going to be down in the van. We will talk about this in a lot more detail when we get onto the electrics properly, but for now I've just got my extension cable here. So these are usually supplied in one long cable, which will have a male and a female end. What you'll need to do is chop this in half basically, then you can connect each side up to the positive and negative of the panel array, and then you're going to be left with 2 bare cables at the end, which can go into your, well, first into your PV isolator switch, then into your solar charge controller. But again, we'll get onto that in a bit more detail later. For now, all I'm going to do is drill a couple of holes right there by the hinges of the panel so that we can put these underneath. I've not connected these together properly yet, but these 2, so that's the positive for the left-hand panel, negative for the right-hand panel, they're going to be connected together. I'm going to do that underneath this central deck board, just so it's a little bit neater, and it also means that when the panels then fold down, you don't get the cables pinched on this central section. And then I'm going to do a similar thing for these, so I'll connect them to the extension cables and then run them underneath these deck boards with cable clips, similar to the way I've already done it for these the actuator wires. So yeah, that's first job for today, and then the array will hopefully go up and down a little bit neater.
So that is the end of the video. We hope you found it helpful. We are actually sat on our roof deck now, which is really nice. And that's our solar panel. Yeah. Crazy. This is obviously what it's looking like at the end.
I think it went relatively smoothly, considering it's something we've not done before. I mean, the roof deck itself was fine, I think there was always going to be a bit of trouble working out how to get these solar panels working like this. If you guys have any questions at all or any suggestions on how we might have done it better, please do let us know in the comments.
And as always, we are doing this whole van conversion on TikTok and Instagram as well. So if you prefer short form videos, or if you just want to follow more of our stuff, then go check that out. And we would love to have you as part of our YouTube community.
So definitely hit that subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when we come out with new videos. Any likes, comments and engagements are always super helpful to us, so we really do appreciate it.
Our next video will be all about battening. I'm super excited to get onto something that's
it's quite a fun job, actually.
inside
Yeah.
the van. Okay, bye.
Bye.